On today's show, we recap the Leafs win over the Capitals and debate whether or not Joseph Woll has earned the right to keep it rolling. We'll chat about that and more on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leafs-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morisuti. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Maple Leafs defeat the Washington Capitals by a score of 4-1. Dave, wasn't pretty, but it was a win nonetheless. Sheldon Keefe credited strong goaltending, timely scoring, and a good third period where they kind of shut things down to the win. Dave, what did you make of the Leafs' performance in this one?
Yeah, I mean, the score didn't exactly reflect, I think, how the whole game kind of went. But I mean, if you see a 4-1 win, you'd like to see a little bit more of these once in a while, right? Like these dominant scoring wins. I wouldn't say dominant, may have been the best word to describe, but just one of those where
comfortable victory.
That's comfortable victory. That's the word I was looking for. And I think the more important one here too is that you didn't have to have your top guys go 23, 24 minutes tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's what you allow yourself to do when you score early and then you build on that lead in the second period. And then in the third period, as long as things don't get too tight and too close again, as long as you keep it a 3-4 goal lead, you can rest Auston Matthews, you can rest Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and then get your third, fourth line out there for a little bit more minutes. Like I think both Marner and Matthews, both in the 18-minute realm tonight, which is significantly less than like the 25 minutes a game that they were averaging coming into tonight. So you're right. And that's because they were able to get the lead and hold the lead so that they can just kind of relax and put out, the lower end guys in the lineup and get them some minutes. But you're right, where it was nice that they were able to do that and they got the victory and they got the 2 points and everything looks good on the score sheet. But if you're watching that game, I mean, Toronto was not the better team tonight. Washington was the better team for sure. I mean, you look at just the shot difference, 37-17 in shots. I mean, it was 17-5 after the first period. The other reason why Toronto really was able to pull away in the second period was because one man and one man only, and that's Mr. Joseph Woll, who was an absolute brick wall tonight. Dude, this guy just continues to make the case that he should be kind of the guy going forward, isn't he?
Of course. And again, it wasn't an easy game because you were going up against, like we said going into this game, that the Washington Capitals haven't looked good in the game started, but they're still named players, right? The Alex Ovechkin had 14 shots in this game.
So I saw a stat that Ovi had 14 shots on net. Ovi literally, Joseph Woll made the same amount of saves tonight on Ovechkin that Kemper made on the entire Leafs team. Think about that.
I think Ovechkin was pretty close to outshooting the Leafs in the first period alone.
He did. He did outshoot them pretty much in the first period. It was insane.
Yeah, so this is the sort of game that, I said going into this one, Joseph Woll was going to have a bigger spotlight on him. Can he take advantage of some momentum going his way? What does he do? He puts up arguably his best performance as a Leaf.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he was fantastic in this game tonight. If we're going through our 3 stars of the night, I mean, he's probably going to pop up as the number 1 star. He was he was that good. And I think that, it's just so nice to be able to have Joseph Woll come in and kind of calm things down after there was so much kind of rah around Samsonov and the poor play that he's had. Where now Joe Woll comes in, and that's two pretty solid starts. We'll see if he ends up getting that next start Thursday night in Dallas. Like, we know that there is technically a schedule that's in place. Like, Curtis Sanford, the goaltending coach, and Sheldon Keefe have a kind of have a calendar in place for, or a schedule for when and who is going to play. I would imagine that, a week ago, if the game plan was to always give Joe Woll this start, which was, we were told that by Sheldon Keefe, whether you believe that or not, I don't know, but that's what we were told, that there was always the plan was for him to play this. Wasn't supposed to play in that Tampa game, right? So he's supposed to get this one. I would imagine the plan would have been to go back to Samsonov, but how can you after that performance? I think you got to kind of roll with Joseph Woll as, for a few games here at the very least.
Yeah, like I don't understand. I know that you can't just run him as a starting goaltender. That's a tough workload to put on him. But the guy has 36 saves. He's getting he allowed one goal. He's getting the next start. It would look bad, in my opinion, if they say, yeah, but we want to get Sammy in there. Samsonov's got to earn that right as well. And Joseph Woll, now he has to give him that opening, right? That you give the young guy the confidence to say, you playing well, you're going to get playing time. You're going to continue to run with this.
Yeah.
This isn't we're going to kind of try and see. No, you're going with the guys who give you the best opportunity to win every night. This is
for sure.
This is what he deserves.
Got to do it. I was listening to the Leaf Report, the Athletics podcast. I was listening, and apparently Jonas Siegel was at practice the other day and on Monday, and did notice that Samsonov spent a lot of time speaking with Curtis Sanford. There were some whiteboard sessions and whatnot. So trying to get his game in order, so that he can try and provide some stable goaltending along with Joe Woll. I think that would be the best case scenario for the Leafs, or for both of these goaltenders to be playing well and to be pushing each other. So hopefully, we can see some better things from Samsonov, much like we saw from Joe Woll tonight. Outside of that wonderful performance from the goaltender, what else did you kind of pick out from this game?
Well, I mean, I wasn't too keen on their defensive play. 37 shots on goal would kind of lead to say, yeah, the defensive game wasn't great, but they stuck with it, right? They didn't falter, thankfully. I mean, Joseph Woll played a big part in that, but yeah, I think if you're Sheldon Keefe, you're happy that you got the 2 points, but there are things that you gotta work on, because the next opponent you have, you play a defensive game like that against them. I don't know how much Joseph Woll can help you against a really good team in Dallas.
Yeah, like, that's a team that can finish. Like, Washington, they've struggled to score all season long. That's now, 5 games into the year, they have 6 total goals. 6 total goals in 5 games. That's not that's not good whatsoever for a team that, was maybe hoping to get back into the playoffs. But Toronto able to keep them at bay. But you're right, they do that. They allow 37 opportunities toward the net to Dallas. They've got some finishers, so certainly I think that's something that is going to have to be cleaned up between now and then. I didn't think that, like, outside of the first period, though, there was many high danger chances. There wasn't many like odd rush opportunities. They just took some penalties, continue to be a bit of an issue for Toronto. They took a few penalties. And that first one, especially, which thankfully the goal ended up getting wiped off the board, kept my parlay intact because I needed the Leafs to score first. And I thought it was dead in the water on that power play goal, but thankfully to Jordan Bean and the coaching staff for challenging that and taking it off the board. But they had like 6 or 7 shots on net on that power play alone. So, that was a big part of, when Toronto really started to give up a lot of their shots on goal, was on the man advantage. And Ovi was just a man possessed. Like you said, 14 shots on net tonight. Like, that's nearly matching the 17 total shots from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, this is a guy who we knew was going to come in tonight and, just fire everything on goal.
Yeah.
Like there was so much talk about what's wrong with Ovi? How come he hasn't scored yet? He went 2 games last week without getting a shot on net. Is he done? Is he maybe never gonna reach the Wayne Gretzky goal mark? And he says, "No, I'm just going to take matter into my own hands. Gonna fire every single puck that hits my stick on net." And eventually, he did score. And we called it. Do we not call it? Do we have the clip? Can we play the clip? I think I got on. I got it. If you don't have it, I have it pulled up here actually on Twitter.
I have it right here. Just give me one sec.
Okay, because we called this so good yesterday on yesterday's show. You and I, we were looking at the Leafs power play, or we're looking at their power play, and noticed that it hadn't scored a goal, and noticed that Ovi was goalless, and we said there's just 100% chance that both of those streaks are ending in this game. Go ahead, play the clip. Curious to see what their power play is right now. I would imagine it's not very good. They've only scored 5. They haven't scored on the power play. They have 0 power play goals so far through 4 games. So, yeah, that's not a good look for Spencer Carberry, former assistant with the Maple Leafs, in his first couple of games behind the bench.
Yeah, so like that's one thing I'm looking at here is he's got to figure out how to get that offense going.
You do know that this means that they're definitely going to score a power play goal tonight against Toronto, like 100%.
We already know. Not only just a power play goal, Ovechkin's probably going to score. You're probably going to bench him in fantasy. He's going to score, and you're going to
curious to see what their power play is, right? Yeah, all of that happened, Dave. All of that happened.
Did you bench Ovechkin in fantasy?
He was benched. He was benched in fantasy, and he went and scored. It's a deep league. I'll say that. I have a lot of good players in this league.
We had all 32 teams playing tonight. You probably could look to.
Well, that's it. I had to sit everyone. Like I had to make some tough decisions. Let me see. Who did I end up playing ahead? Oh no, that's a lie. Actually, I did have Ovechkin in my lineup tonight. Ooh. I think I went back and made that switch last second.
What was his plus minus? If I don't know if you got your league counts that.
Don't believe we do plus minus, but we do special teams points, and he got one for me.
There you go.
So that was nice.
Shots got you that.
There's shots on goal. He had 1 billion of them, so it was a good call for me to last minute just say, you know what, let's get that guy in there. He's gonna score tonight, and he did, and he was a beast. He turned back the clock in a way, and he was a beast that. In that game. All right, why don't we take a quick break? We'll come back. We'll go through our 3 stars of the night. And I got a special honorable mention as well, who is well deserving of that honor tonight. So we'll do that on the other side. There's some news from around the league that we'll get to as well. But before we get into all of that, let me tell you about one of today's show sponsors, and it's our good friends over at Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Gametime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you buy it, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you're never going to get hit with those hidden fees. You can buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps, 1, 2, and they're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money. The Gametime guarantee means that you'll get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the action or take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use a code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano with my main man, Dave Morisuti, with me. We're reacting to a Maple Leafs 4-1 victory over the Washington Capitals. And if you're new to the program, thank you for giving us a shot. We do have podcasts that we release every Monday through Friday. You can find them wherever you stream your podcasts from, whichever app you use. Also, you can find the video portion of this podcast on YouTube. And if you enjoy it, we would ask, subscribe to us so you know exactly when those podcasts drop, and leave us a like, comment down below your thoughts on tonight's Leafs game. How'd you think? What do you think they should do with the goaltending situation? Should it be Joseph Woll on Thursday in Washington, or do you go back to Sammy? I'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts in the comment section. Before we kind of skip ahead to Thursday, though, Dave, we got to go through our 3 stars of the game, as we do after every single Leafs victory. Let's start with the 3rd star tonight. Who's your 3rd star for the Leafs tonight?
It's a tough one. There was a lot of good individual performances, but I'll give it to Austin Matthews. I thought he looked solid as usual. Didn't shoot a lot. I mean, not a lot of players on the Leafs did shoot a lot.
So you thought that you liked Matthews' game tonight?
I didn't mind it. No, I thought, he got back on the score sheet, which I think is important.
Yeah.
I would have wished he had been a little more assertive offensively, but I thought, the big boys were pretty good offensively. Yeah, was there some lapses defensively? I think so, but I thought he was pretty good tonight.
Yeah, I didn't love Matthews' game. I'll be honest. I thought they played a lot of their minutes in the defensive end, which has not been their MO. You take a look at the shot discrepancy when Matthews is on the ice tonight. He was outshot 10-1. That doesn't happen when Austin Matthews is on the ice. Yeah, obviously deserves credit for, the power play goal, his 7th of the season, absolute rocket from the slot, and obviously set up Nylander on that really nice goal with a long stretch pass. But overall, I didn't think that it was one of Matthews' best games. I'll be completely honest with you, but I mean, it's open to interpretation, I suppose. It's not that he was bad tonight. Just I've come to expect a little bit more out of Matthews, and
Fair.
I would say tonight was probably his worst game of the season, which still isn't a terrible fit. That's just how highly I guess I think of Matthews, where it's like even a C+ performance is considered not good for me, or B- performance would be considered not good. I am giving my 3rd star. No, I was going to give him an honorable mention, but I'm going to give him a straight up star. I'm giving it to Jordan Bean. This man deserves some credit here, okay? This is the Toronto Maple Leafs video coach. He is the one who's in charge of making the decision of whether or not the team should challenge goals. And you saw tonight, he came through once again. That's 10 straight challenges that he has been able to get correct. And I know the stat is, Sheldon Keefe has 10 coaches challenges in a row that have, been correct. Well, it's not just Sheldon Keefe. A big part of it is actually the video coaches in the back and Jordan Bean. He gets credit for it all the time by Sheldon Keefe. He makes sure to throw his name out in the media as often as he can whenever he does get a correct challenge. And tonight, same thing. It was an interesting play. It was the first goal of the game, and it was like 5 minutes in on the power play. And you're thinking to yourself, you want to waste the challenge 5 minutes into a game on one that's very 50-50? Like, I don't know about you, but I wasn't 100% confident that was goaltender interference, only because like Ovi was so far back from him. But then I think MJ kind of alluded to the fact that he was on his stick for a little bit, and maybe because of the stick and the glove, he wasn't able to get it up and perhaps could have made a stop. So it interfered with him in that regard. But you only see that if you like really slow down and you really dial in and you're really looking at it, which again, also credit Sheldon Keefe for calling the timeout to give him that extra 30 seconds to get the look at it, to make sure if they wanted to make that, make the call to challenge it, they did. And I thought that the game kind of turned a little bit off of that, because then the Maple Leafs, they killed it off. Then the Leafs end up on the power play, and Morgan Riley ends up scoring, and they take the lead 1-0, and really didn't look back at all from there on out. So I thought that Jordan Bean deserves a little bit of credit here, so I'm gonna give him a 3rd star. A little off the board, but that's what I like to do here.
Yeah, I mean that was a big swing of momentum in the game, right? Because if you allow that goal, the Capitals probably get a little more confidence, and game could have changed in that moment. So yeah, and when you bring up the idea of whether or not it's goaltender interference, even when we think it's goaltender interference, it proves to not be.
You
Like
never know, dude.
it's a guessing game each and every night. So yeah, I mean credit to the. I mean, you're the Leafs. You should have one of the better video video reviews in hockey, right? To be able to but again, as we know, it is up to interpretation a lot of times by what the league thinks, right? So it's probably one of the harder jobs because they also got to make, as you said, that decision's got to be made in a pretty reasonable amount of time. And yeah,
Yeah.
good on Sheldon Keefe to give a little extra time, but could have changed the momentum of the game if they don't get that challenge right, and then the Capitals go right back on the power play there, and it's a gamble you take in a lot of cases.
I know that it won't happen because the Leafs never give anybody access to any Leafs people. But I would love to know like what the process is there for like Jordan Bean. Like watch him operate and see, how he's looking at things, how quickly and what he's deciding on. I would love to just kind of be a fly on the wall on a play like that, such a bang bang 50-50 call, just to see what his process is in determining if it should be a challenge or not. I think it would be a cool kind of insight video. Again, I doubt the Leafs ever give people that type of access in game, but I think it would be pretty sweet to get a glimpse of how stuff like that works. All right, second star of the game, Dave.
I'm going with the JT William Nylander duo once again. 6 straight games with a point, and they just find ways to get that puck in that. They're the more reliable offensive contributors each and every game for this leasing. Now, we know Austin Matthews leading the team in goals. I'm not saying Matthews is not reliable, but I think
Nylander's right behind him. He's right behind him.
Yeah, they're consistently there. Nylander with what a move that was to score on Darcy Kemper there. Like that was like you have a defenseman hanging on you, and you find a way to tuck it from that angle up high. Pure class.
William Nylander's playing with some authority right now. I mean, he just puts his shoulder down, makes a power move, holds off the defender, protects the puck, and then is able to shelf it. Like it's just an unbelievable move, like you said. And that was a big goal in the game, right? That made it 3, which kind of put it a little out of reach for them. I think that this guy too, just all night long with that goal aside, just like playing with the puck on a string almost at times. Like there was one play in the second period. I think it led to like a Bertuzzi chance where this dude was literally just like dancing in the offensive end, just pulling pucks through people, through the gate, and then just eventually got it over to Bertuzzi, who had a good opportunity to score, didn't. But it was just outstanding. And I think even if you look at the John Tavares goal, the tip-in goal, the play starts with Nylander chasing in after the puck on the forecheck. First man to the puck, kind of pokes it around for Tavares to get to. He gets it, to Bertuzzi, to Riley. Tavares goes back to the net and tips it in. Like that play is started by Willie with a strong forecheck to establish possession for the Leafs. And that's kind of what, this team misses at times or lacks. And that's what Nylander has the ability to do. Like he's not a small guy. He doesn't typically like to go into the corners and stuff like that. But when he does do things and he does make those plays, good things happen. Really good things happen for Toronto. So if he's willing to do that type of stuff, he'll make himself some money this upcoming offseason, because a lot more good things are going to happen for the Leafs team when he's on the ice if he does decide to kind of put it all together this year and play a complete game like that. He was also my second star, by the way. So we're both in agreement on that one. I'm sure we'll also be in agreement with Joe Woll taking home first star honors.
Yeah, he was going to be my first star after 2 periods. Like he could have let in 2 goals in the third period, and I would have been like, you know what? No, he was the reason why they won that game.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, he was. I mean, he kept them into it, right? In the first period, he was just peppered on by shots throughout the. I think it was 17-5. I think were the shots on goal in the first period. Like 8 of them being high danger variety. Like Joseph Woll was tested 7. 7 of them were high danger variety. He was tested. He really was. He had a 923 high danger save percentage tonight, a 973 save percentage overall, 2.92 goals saved above expected. So, yeah, he was the reason why this team won tonight. 100% made some big saves early until the big boys were able to kind of take over and get some goals in that second period. So, yeah, I thought that Joe Woll was fantastic. Few big stops on Ovi, the penalty shot, stopping him on the backhand there. That one on Kuznetsov too in the third period. I thought Kuzi was going to score. What they say he's got like 1 goal in his last 25 games. It's wild. And he got robbed tonight by Joseph Woll diving across to make a stop. So he's clearly been the better goaltender through the first, only 6 games into the year, and he's only actually made 2 starts so far on the season. But man, is he starting to really turn some heads here and make people second guess and think, maybe he can be the guy. Someone messaged in our Discord, Joseph Woll is him. He was him tonight. He really, really was.
Wall.
Joseph Woll. Yes, there it is, Dave. Attaboy. All right, let's put a bow on things. When we get back, we'll kind of go around the league, talk a little bit about maybe the Frozen Frenzy that went down Tuesday night for ESPN, the NHL rescinding the ban on Pride Tape. We'll talk a little bit about that, and the NHL also unveiled a kind of a new analytics stats website, which we'll go through a wee little bit if we still have some time, because I'm quite interested in that. So we'll get to all that and more on the other side. But first, Dave, a word from today's show sponsors, and it's our good pals at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti with you. Did you get a chance to catch any of the Frozen Frenzy? I didn't really get a chance. I'm curious if you did.
Well, I had to wait, right? Because the Leaf game started at 6, and the next game didn't start till 6:30. So, like
well, that game didn't even start. Wasn't that the Columbus game?
Yeah. So, like the schedule already got messed up, kind of right off the hop. So I waited until near the end of the Leafs game to really put it on because A, got to watch the Leafs game, and B, I wanted to see how they were doing all of it. Again, it was just hockey thrown into your face. If you're somebody who also doesn't want to see all the commercials and stuff, it's also not a bad idea to have just throw on another game, right? So I did like that you could say, all right, we're not going to take you to this game because there's clearly nothing happening in this game. I like that. I thought
that is like what they were doing. They were bouncing around. Okay, here the Maple Leafs are on the power play. Okay, we got the Devils on the power play. What can Jack Hughes cook up? Stuff like that.
Yeah, so the only thing they didn't do, I mean, for when I was watching, they didn't do like a quad view or a double view of like if 2 games are happening at the same time. Like sometimes Red Zone will do that. They'll throw a couple of games up.
Yeah.
At as much of that. But I thought, Buchagras and Kevin Weeks were pretty good on the calls. Like there's only so much they could do because, you don't want them talking over the actual commentary from the game.
More so steering it, right? The old Scott steering it in between.
And so the concept I think is good. If you're a hockey fan, it's good. I know it's unfortunate that people in Canada couldn't watch it, because it's not a Canadian product, and there's regional rights. I don't know how ESPN got away with those regional rights. Again, that's a story. I guess ESPN must have made a deal with the NHL to make it a
Well,
national,
yeah.
right? So,
Well, I think you could take like clips of games. It's just you can't play the full game, I think is what the regional exclusiveness is.
Yeah. So basically there was that. So it's an interesting concept. I did like that they're trying to give hockey a good platform, right? This is it's still relatively early in the ESPN TNT sort of era for the NHL here, but I think they've done a good job of really trying to push the envelope and do different things. And I think that's what I like the most about it. It's something that hasn't been done with hockey before.
No.
Right? Bringing in
all 30, there's the first weeknight all 32 teams have ever played. Where every team in the NHL has played. They did it before on a Saturday, but it was the first time that it happened on a Tuesday. Timing is interesting because it was also NBA opening night. How many people, and NBA opening night is, I believe, a TNT product. So I don't know how many games are being broadcasted there. But regardless, I'm hoping that the numbers turn out to be pretty good. Like you said, Bucci, John Bucci-Gross and Kevin Weeks have done a pretty good job from everything that I've read on Twitter, on X, whatever the hell you want to call the thing. And I don't know if you saw, did you see Bucci doing a interview on the Pat McAfee show this morning talking about it? The dude was in a wife beater with just chest flow, just air. It was
in his car
hilarious.
too, right?
What's that?
Wasn't he like driving in his car? Wasn't he in his car too?
He was in his car, yeah. I don't think he was driving while doing the interview, but he was in his car. It looked like he maybe, I don't know, got back from like the gym or something. Like the dude, like it's not what you typically would imagine somebody would do if they were going on national television for a big time promotional hit. But Bucci, man, guy's a beauty, and I thought that was hilarious. And dude, I'll say this: the Pat McAfee show is doing a lot for hockey. They have that segment that they brought, the hockey is awesome segment. What's up?
Now that you bring up the Pat McAfee show, do you know who's going to be on the Pat McAfee show on Wednesday?
Austin Matthews.
Austin Matthews on the Pat McAfee
there you go.
show.
There you go. Exactly. See, they're marketing the stars the way they need to. And the thing is, Pat McAfee and that show, it's so loosey goosey. Although it's ESPN, it's still kind of loosey goosey.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to bring out a little bit of personality in Austin Matthews. And I guarantee you there'll be some clips that'll go viral. We'll clip it. We'll show it. Similar to, to Sportsnet, TSN. They'll do all the same things. And, that's just the type of media coverage that this sport needs, quite frankly, especially down south, a big platform like that. So that's good for the NHL, ESPN, they're trying different things. And, it's nice that they're also somewhat forcing, their other shows to talk about them. It's like, okay, Stephen A. Smith, all right, that guy's just not going to talk about hockey. But there's a couple of hockey fans on the Pat McAfee show, so they don't mind talking about it. And personally, I mean, I like that show, so there's a lot of people who are tuning in for that as well. So good stuff. Is this like this is the only one of the year, or is there more? I don't remember hearing if there's going to be more of this Frozen Frenzy. I know it's the only one where all the teams are playing, but is there another plan to do it on like a?
No, I hadn't seen anything like that. I'm sure they'll market it if they're going to do another one. But yeah, it was the only one that I noticed.
Yeah, thought so too. Elsewhere around the NHL, some positive-ish news from the NHL. I mean, they eventually got it right, I suppose, is more so how we could say it. They've rescinded the ban on Pride Tape. We spoke on this on Monday's show, and it's been a big topic of conversation ever since Travis Dermott, former Maple Leaf, Travis Dermott, had Pride Tape on his stick on Saturday, and it made the rounds, and everybody was like, I wonder what the NHL is going to do, because keep in mind, a memo went around about a month ago saying, hey, no, Pride Tape, no jerseys, no nothing. We're not celebrating any of that stuff, and there will be fines or whatever if these rules are broken. Well, Dermott tested that, and the NHL and NHLPA decided, okay, maybe all right, let's allow this because it's kind of stupid to not allow just colored tape on people's sticks. It's not hurting anyone. It's not harming anyone. So thankfully, the NHL eventually got that right after reversing course on that one.
Yeah, and like you listen to the reasoning Travis Dermott gave for putting the pride tape on his stick and things like that. And I'm gonna quickly read the NHL statement on it. So NHL statement on symbolic tape in support of social causes. So after consultation with the NHLPA and the NHL Player Inclusion Coalition, players will now have the option to voluntarily represent social causes with their stick tape throughout the season. So the question I have is, when they initially put this ban in place, you heard some players already voice their frustration with the decision. So part of me was wondering, how did the NHLPA get the players to agree to that in the first place?
I don't know if they really did. Like, I don't even know how it came about. Like, was it a PA voted thing? I don't know. Was it? I
It feels
honestly
like you
I
have
don't
to get
recall.
the PA to okay that, but yeah. And then like the Player Inclusion Coalition, how did how did the NHL not talk to them and be like, we're thinking of doing this? And if I was the part of the Player Inclusion Coalition, I say, you really want to do this? Like, you really think that's going to send the right message? It just
I mean, it could have happened, and the NHL, obviously, if it did, said, "Yeah, no, we're gonna do it anyways," not thinking they would get as much blowback as they did. Clearly, they were wrong,
yeah.
and good on Dermott for being a bit of a trailblazer and testing,
Yeah,
testing the
calling their bluff
NHL.
in a
Right?
way.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see. Let's see what will you do if I do this? Come on. You're all talk right now. Let's see if you're going to walk the walk, and the NHL did not want to do so, so they rescind the ban entirely. I will be curious to see like how much more we see it. Like, I don't think it'll be a whole lot. Like, I don't think all of a sudden we're going to see everyone in the NHL or even a large segment of players in the NHL with bride tape. I just think, if you want to, go ahead. Should have always been the case anyway. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of the news there. I think we were supposed to hear on the draft too. I think the vote took place
The
today as
vote was
well.
supposed to be today. I didn't hear
Probably,
or see anything, so that's something obviously to keep an eye on.
yeah, probably might hear of something in the coming days. Lastly, the NHL put out a new kind of stats website, NHL Edge, which I think is pretty cool. I was kind of poking around and seeing what information they had. I used some of the stats actually in my covers.com piece today. And I think it's pretty sweet. Like, it tracks, puck and player data. So you can tell you, where players are shooting, the high danger shots versus low danger shots. It can tell you how fast players are going. It can tell you how much zone time a specific team is having, whether if it's offensive zone time, defensive zone time, et cetera. There's a lot of different, analytics that can be tracked within this site, and I think that it certainly is pretty cool, and can educate some people on to more of the underlying numbers of what's going on in the NHL.
Yeah, I think any time you can give more information, and look, the information's available for the broadcasters. There's not a reason why you can't give the fans the same information. So I think it is pretty cool that you can give something that's different, right? We're seeing
I'm gonna share the screen so we can keep talking. I'm just
yeah,
gonna
like
kind
you
of pull
see,
it up.
baseball has kind of been the pioneer, right? With all their with like all the stuff that they show, you know, ma- how fast. I mean, obviously, how fast the pitch is going, where it's going, the angles for home runs, how hard the home run was hit. The pitch tracker for broadcast, so fans can scream and yell at umpires during a game, right? So, like those innovations, baseball has been the pioneer for a lot of that. Like now you're seeing the NFL do it and how they're using stats in their games, right? Basketball, not as I mean, the NBA uses some, but not like a whole lot. I think I think this is just like hockey has so much more to offer and show, you know, I mean, if you're looking here on the screen, like Mike's just showing us like which team is the fastest team, like it's so cool that you're able to pool which teams have the max speed, like who have the fastest forwards on the skating speed and things like that. So I just think it's a useful tool. It shows why some of the good players in this game are good players, and it could even show like why certain players maybe are playing in the league that maybe we didn't understand, like why they're able to do things that other players aren't able to do. Like Alex DeBrincat right now, he leads the league with eight goals, and you're seeing where those goals are coming from, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at Matthews, right? It's a Locked On Leafs podcast. Might as well look at Matthews.
And he
Here's
sucks
all
on
the
the left
goals.
side. What the hell?
Yeah, he scored nothing. Dude, the guy on the right, that's where he scores his goals from. All on the right side of the ice. He's got a few down the middle, and then the other 2 or 3 goals down the right. Even, tonight's goal was scored like in this area right here, right? So we'll see where that ends up getting placed, whether it's going to be in this column or in this column. It shows 6 goals, so it hasn't been updated yet because he's got 7 now. But that's kind of where it is. I think what's also interesting is Austin Matthews leads the league in high danger shots, right? And that's why this guy's always been so dangerous, because he does go to the areas where you can score. Look who's number 2. John Tavares, number 2 in high danger shots, because he parks himself in the front of the net and he can score. Where was his goal scored from tonight? I believe he was sitting right there, got a nice little tip in front of the net, and was allowed to score himself a goal in tonight's game. So, yeah, it's the type of stuff that you can kind of just go and take a look at. I think it's all very cool and relevant information. I just go take a peek. It's NHL. Just go to NHL.com, go to the stats, and then you'll see NHL Edge as part of the stats, and just kind of peruse through it and see what else, what else is kind of there for you to look at. They've got team stats, individual stats, and they also have, I was diving into a little bit more, but also tell you like the league average compared to where, the Leafs are, like where they are in the percentile. So maybe tomorrow we can kind of go through and see, or at some point this week when it's a little bit of a slower time, see like where the Leafs rank amongst the NHL Edge categories, right? Because there's a couple offensive categories where the Leafs are in like the 90th percentile, where the Washington Capitals were in like the 20th percentile in a lot of different categories, including dead last in goals per game. So, and again, that turned out to kind of be a similar storyline to tonight's game. Couldn't find offense, where the Maple Leafs, they did, much like they've done all year long. So really cool website. I like that the Leafs are finally the league finally giving some information, some more than just the basic stats. Some more underlying numbers that teams and broadcasters do take into account more than the everyday average Joe or average fan who's just kind of looking at the goals, assists, hits, and all that. Analytics are here, people. Whether you like them or not, they are here, and I think this is another way of the league kind of admitting, okay, there's more appetite for this stuff. Let's deliver it to them. Let's give it to them. MLB's done it for years. The NFL has it as well with multiple different sites, and they're also they have what their next gen stats. Now the NHL finally jumping on board, and they've got it too. So really good stuff, I think. Anything that you want to get off your chest before we dip out of here today, Dave?
No, I mean we do have an interview lined up for this week. An interesting Leafs related conversation. I think some especially some of the older fans might like. I'll leave it there.
Well, just tease it. Just tease it. Let people know.
Well, we do have somebody who's written a book on the Leafs that wanted to come on the show and give us, his give a chance to share that, and it's Mike Comito. He wrote the Leafs 365 book. It's in bookstores, so we're going to talk to him about the book. We'll let him discuss more about the book and what it's about. So be ready for that interview. I think it's going to be a nice little chat. I'm a big book guy, so any chance to get that. Look for if anyone's looking to get me a Christmas gift.
That's it. I love always. I know when a couple of years ago, who put out a book? Scott Wheeler put out a book, and that was right at the top of my Christmas list. I wanted it. It was the behind the scenes of the Maple Leafs draft. Really cool book. Recommend it also. So I'm excited to speak to Mike, Maple Leafs 365. Yeah, so we'll speak to him at some point this week, and we'll play that interview for you guys as well. So keep an eye out for that. But that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcasts and platforms and receive daily Leafs coverage. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morisuti. Follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. Go ahead, leave a like on this video. Leave us a comment down below. Your thoughts. Should Joe Woll get the start Thursday, or should they try and go back to Ilya Samsonov? Let us know down below. All right, we'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.